everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to the this special live. This is special live because the featured guest is a very busy coach, and she's very special. She's an expert in EFT. Uh, First of all, we are lucky to have her because her schedule is super busy, 24 by 7, 7 days, 365 days, all around the year. She's also a busy mom with the 3 kids, but still she gave the time uh, to join this live. Okay, I'll go ahead and welcome her. Welcome, Amber.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. And I wouldn't make I love to make time to be here. There is absolutely, despite being busy, this is what I absolutely brings me joy to come and speak to all of the other mums in the world, to know that I'm not alone in my busyness, and to help all of you guys know that you're not alone in the lives that you lead. And it's great to come together. So thank you for having me.
So I am
So
out. Am I pronouncing your name correct, Amber?
Amber, that's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So that everyone should know, right? That's why I'm asking now. And please, can you share your journey, like how you became a EFT master practitioner, why you have chosen this career, and
Absolutely. So I'm very aware as well that many of you have no idea what EFT is. So if that is you, don't worry. I will, throughout this talk at some point, break that down for you. But EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Technique. And it's amazing. And I got to using and learning about EFT before I became a practitioner, before I studied it, in my own life every single day for very good reason. So I'm going to take you back to the beginning of the story, but before I do that, I just want to say thank you. I'm going to pronounce your name wrong again now, aren't I?
yeah, Swapna.
Pronounce it.
Yeah, Swapna.
Swapna.
Oh yeah,
Swapna.
yeah.
Swapna. I get it wrong every time and I feel really bad. So I will try my best. But thank you, Swapna, for having me. My name is Amber Cherelle. I'm a female empowerment coach and an EFT master practitioner, amongst many other things that I do. And I am the founder of the Limitless Mum Academy, and I essentially focus on helping mums to follow their dreams. So to start putting their desires, their needs, their health, their well-being first, to go after the things that they want to go after in their life, while still being great mums, while still being able to manage their household, raise amazing children, keep everybody sane and alive, and still be able to support themselves, because a lot of the time we neglect ourselves. And the reason I'm telling you what I do, because my story underpins why I do that. So I started out 8 years ago in my journey of motherhood. And at the time, I'm now living in the UK. At the time, I was living in Egypt. And I'd been living in Egypt for about a year. Um, Fell pregnant, met my husband, fell pregnant very quickly, very rapidly, and suddenly thrown into throes of motherhood. Miles away from family, I was completely isolated. I used to work on dive boats, which is why I was in Egypt in the first place. So everybody I knew was in the diving industry, including my husband. And they all worked out at sea 4 to 6 weeks at a time. So I was very much in the house by myself with a newborn baby for months on end in a country where I didn't speak the language very well. I didn't know anybody. I didn't have any other mummy friends. Facebook and social media. So if you are watching through Facebook right now, which I think most of you probably are, I don't know if we're streaming anywhere else. That was me sitting on the other end watching videos like this, not necessarily about motherhood, about anything, watching other people's lives vicariously through Facebook and social media, wondering why on earth I was trapped in the house. My friends back in the UK had their small children and were going out and doing all of these amazing things, going to the zoo, going here. And I was stuck inside my apartment, suffering with severe anxiety and depression. And at the time, I didn't recognize it as anxiety and depression. I just knew that I didn't like going out, and I was worried about all of these things outside of the house that might harm me or might harm my child, or not being able to speak the language. And it was a compound effect of this isolation. And it essentially kept me trapped in my apartment for 10 months unless I was with a friend or my husband. I didn't really go anywhere by myself. There was a shop literally outside our apartment block door, and I'd go down and run out to the shop, grab something, pay for it, and then quickly run back upstairs. And that was my safe space. And I'd shut the door, and we were okay there. Well,
Okay.
obviously, for those of you, you all have children, you know how important a child's development is, their social interaction, their ability to see other adults, talk to other adults, have fun, get sunlight. I mean, we had a balcony, but he wasn't getting the interaction he deserved, and I felt terrible for it. And there was a day, I remember this day very, very clearly, where, and I have to add to this, I was completely self-neglecting. I wasn't eating properly, I wasn't sleeping properly. Everything was about my son. I need to sit down and play with him all the time. Forget about brushing my hair. This is going to sound awful. Please don't judge me. But there was periods, there was weeks where I didn't even do my hair properly. I didn't brush it. I'd just tie it up, jump out of bed, and it was all about this child, making sure that he was well and safe and healthy, and cared for. And nothing about me. I lost so much weight. I rapidly lost all of my baby weight really quickly because I wasn't eating, I wasn't sleeping, I was tired, I was exhausted. And there was no need for me to be exhausted. I was at home all day, right? But there was a little person to take care of. Anyway, you get the picture. The picture is built. And I was watching something on Facebook one day, and I literally sat there and went, this is ridiculous. This cannot be my life for the rest of my life. I refuse to accept that this is how I'm going to continue to live. And until that point, I hadn't spoken to anyone about my fears about going outside. Nobody actually knew. They just think that I was probably socially inept and preferred to stay in my little shelter. And a friend came around, and I was like, I'm really struggling. I want to go out and go to the beach that I lived across the road from. I lived in a really beautiful apartment right across the road from the sea. I had a beautiful sea view, and the beach was right outside my front door, and I couldn't even go to the beach. Didn't even go to the beach by myself. And I said to her, like, I want to be able to go places. I want to be able to get in a taxi and go to town and do my own food shopping without waiting for my husband. And I want to be able to go over to the beach. And I can't. I'm literally stuck. I'm trapped. And this is not the life I want to live. And she said, have you ever tried EFT? It sounds like you have anxiety. And I was like, I don't have anxiety. What are you going on about? What's anxiety? That's for me. Obviously, within deeper sat with that for a little while, I was like, well, maybe I do. Maybe that is what I'm experiencing right now. And I didn't even realize it. I didn't recognize the heart palpitations as someone even suggested that I could possibly go out by myself. I didn't recognize the chest tightening, the stress, the inability to sleep properly as anxiety. That label and what I was experiencing hadn't come together. So for anyone who's watching this, sorry, I'm talking a lot about this story, but it's really important to understand where I came from. And if one of you is watching this, that is experiencing any level of anxiety that you're aware of, fear, worry, stress, or is sitting there going, that sounds like me and I've never even considered that anxiety could be the cause of that, I encourage you to just sit with that a little bit and have a look at what is stopping you from doing the things that you want to do, whatever that looks like for you. It might not be that you're trapped in your house right now, but it might be that you have things that you wish you were pursuing, dreams that you wish you were going after, or activities that you wish you could do more of, but you're holding yourself back because you're afraid. And even that low level fear is a level of anxiety that can stop us from living a life that we truly want to lead. And therefore we slip into low mood, depression, resentment, stress, all of these other feelings. Anyway, so that's where I was. And a friend recommended EFT. And I'd also had an experience with EFT before. But this is not going to be your experience with EFT for the first time, I hope, because my experience with EFT was at a conference. And it was a sales conference when I was about, I think, 17 or 18. I'd just left school, jumped into a sales job in a call center. And we went to this sales conference. It was to teach us all of these sales skills and to help us develop our success mindset and go after our goals and all of these things. And this woman got on stage and she was like, right, everybody, I just want you to follow me, just do what I do, repeat the sentences after me. I don't remember everything she said, but I just remember her tapping and everyone following along, and some people really getting into it and like, I'm really loving this. And other people looking around, just like me, going, what? I wanted to wear them. Sorry, you've probably got children around, so I'm not going to, but what on earth are these people doing? What is she doing? What is this woman doing? And that was my first experience. When my friend suggested it, I was like, are you mad? How is that going to help me? How is that going to help me? But she left. I thought about it. I was like, well, I'm willing to give anything a try by this point because I'm stuck and I don't know what else to do. So I went and Googled EFT because Google is our best friend these days. Didn't have that when I was a child, so I'm going to make the best use of it now. And I went away and I Googled EFT and watched some videos and tapped along. And the first day I properly gave it a shot, I was able to go out of my house, walked past the shop, walked around the corner of my building, stood outside the front, looked at the beach, called that a success and came back home. And you thought I was going to say I went all the way. No, I didn't. Over the period of the next few days and weeks, I continued to use it because I was like, well, it got me out to the front of the building. Maybe I can go further. The biggest change for me wasn't in where I could go. I mean, that was massive. That was huge. That meant a lot to me and my son, and he started having experiences that he deserved all that time. And for me, that is the most beautiful thing that came out of this, was his ability to get what he deserved and what he needed as a child. However, the biggest shift for me was this realization that I had neglected my own needs, my own health and well-being for so long, for all of these months, and not even being aware that that's what was happening. Because underneath all of that, the reason for all of the things that occurred, the reason for the depression, the reason why the anxiety started in the first place, was one belief that I'd been holding on to from childhood and from when I first fell pregnant. And this was the belief that your child always comes first. So if anyone is watching, and Swapna, I would be really interested to know if you yourself hold this belief or have held this belief or have heard that repeated in society. Children always come first.
Yeah.
If you believe that, share with us, let me know. But Swapna, how does that sit with you? Is that a belief that you've held or heard or you've seen people repeat?
Yeah, I agree with you. Children, are the first priority, right? For everyone, for many parents, they are like motivation and inspiration. Even for many moms, like they will not take the actions for themselves. Like when we are putting their but they will take actions when they think that it will help their children, right?
Absolutely.
Even me, even for me as a mom, as a female and as a mom of two kids, when I'm not able to take any action, I'm doing procrastination when I see my kids in front of me, then it's like a for me big push that I have to do this.
I have to do this for them.
For them, yeah.
And then I always bring this back. But what about you? Who's doing this for you? Because your parents, my parents, and a lot of people's parents, I'm not going to say all parents because I know there are situations where this may not occur, but our caregivers spent a lot of time doing things for us. And this goes way beyond anything that generationally, way beyond anything that we're doing now.
Yeah.
This belief that
vicious cycles. And what we are doing, it's like coming from some generations and generations. It's like repetitions. Again, we are in that repetitions. We are not breaking those cycles, but we are becoming part of those vicious cycles. We are part of many vicious cycles, actually.
And the thing is it's disguised as something, and this was the realization for me at this time when I started really seeing how EFT was shifting. And just this small daily practice, because EFT is essentially, if you haven't heard of EFT, you don't know what emotional freedom technique is. EFT is the practice of tapping on specific points on your body, which are known as meridian endpoints, which are your energy systems throughout your body. And if you're not woo woo and you're like meridian endpoints, because these are used in acupuncture, acupressure, a lot of our Eastern medicines use our meridian systems to heal our bodies. But if you are not familiar with woo woo, or that sounds really far fetched for you, then I have news for you. Your meridian systems are essentially your central and peripheral nervous system and your circulatory system, your vessels, your blood vessels that run through your body, the electrical and chemical network that allows you to function as a human being, that controls literally every aspect of your health, well-being, ability to function as a human. So we're not talking about anything spiritual outside of you. We're talking about something that's very real inside of you, biologically, chemically, and electrically inside of you. So we tap on these points in the body in order to release blocked energy, trapped energy within your neurological systems, within your circulatory system, within every single cell in your body, to release energy that's been trapped there and stored there, that essentially is causing you some level of disease. And so the reason that I'm saying this is because everything's connected. So when I was experiencing that anxiety, what shifted for me wasn't just my ability to leave the house and to not be afraid anymore, to not have all of those worries. I mean, I still have fear over things. It's natural. We're supposed to have fear over things, right? We don't want to be stepping out in front of cars. It's not to get rid of all fear. We're not like superhuman. But it's to allow us to function, to not be limited in our capacities as a human being, and to be able to fulfill our potential. But we forget that these emotions also have very physical implications on our body. So when I say I was experiencing chest tightness, you tell me when you have stress, how does that show up in your body? What do you feel? Where do you feel that in your body when you're stressed?
Yeah, we feel fatigued, right? When
Fatigue,
we experience fatigue.
headaches,
Yeah.
for some people, severe migraines.
Extreme tiredness, like feeling exhausted.
Absolutely wiped out. And bringing this back to we do things for our children, well, we can use that to our advantage as well. Like you said, sometimes we don't take care of even our own health until we realize it impacts our kids. Well, hello, when you're exhausted, who's showing up for your children? Who's there playing with them calmly? Who's there able to be patient? Because one of my biggest things is that my husband, at that period of time, poor guy, ex-husband now, but poor guy nonetheless, would come home and he didn't get a happy wife that was happy to see him after he'd been away for 6 weeks. He was like, he got the me who was exhausted, run down, ready to just throw this baby at him and just say, you deal with it and you fix the water tank and you cook the dinner and why am I here doing this all on my own, right? Full of complaint, full of stress. Well, how does that impact my relationship? Does that impact my relationship with him? When there wasn't support there for me, that impacted my relationship with my son, because even though I was trying my best to do everything for him, I was also knackered. So 2 o'clock in the morning when he woke up crying, I was like, will you just stop? Like, I haven't had any sleep, right? I want to shout, I want to scream. Like, I'm not being the patient, kind, loving, caring mom. And for anyone who has never screamed at their kids, well done. Hats off to you, loving you. Please tell me how you got there. But I feel safe to say that I have screamed at my children. I don't feel proud of that. But when we are stressed, when we are not releasing our emotions healthily, can I turn the lights on? Sorry. One moment. There's one of my children.
Yeah,
Bear
yeah.
with me.
Go ahead. So here, please everyone watch this live. If you are here, then post your comments. This live is all about the EFT, releasing limiting emotions for mental well-being. Amber is here. She's explaining how the limiting emotions can block your mental well-being. Yeah, we have to. Yeah, after sharing your story, we have to uh, focus on today's topic: releasing limiting emotions.
Yes, absolutely. And it's all connected because so uh, we experience a whole range of emotions every single day. And what we don't realize is that every single event we have creates a memory with we do realize this, right? We know that we have a memory of everything that's past, but what we don't realize is that that memory is not just a picture, an image that we pull up. It comes with it associated emotions. And
True.
sometimes those emotions are so strong, so strong that they energetically become trapped in our bodies. And when we hold on to them, there's a few things that happen. First of all, when we still have these memories that hold a huge energetic, so I if anyone's watching this now or on the replay, just think back. Just think back to a memory that you have that you know as soon as you think about it, it triggers something of it pure joy. I don't want you to necessarily go back to anything negative. Go back to something that triggers pure joy for you. Because it doesn't matter what the emotion is, every memory we have has some level of emotion attached to it. And some of those can be extreme, heightened emotions. Some of them are just dull, like, oh yeah, that event happened and I'm nonchalant about it. Nonchalance is still an emotion that we experience, right? So go back, think about that joyful memory. As you think about that memory, for me, it's the day that all three of my children, but specifically my second was born, because it was hilarious. I had my best friend as my birthing partner, and she came to the hospital with me, and we just had nothing but laughs from beginning to end. It was like painful on all sorts of accounts, but we did nothing but joke and laugh the whole way through this experience. And so for me, that's one of the best joyful moments and memories that I have. And even recalling that, telling you, guess what's happening? My cheeks are smiling, there's something very physical. Inside, I have this warmth in my heart. Suddenly, I feel lighter, more energetic. All of that is because of a memory that's been triggered. And so when I drive past the hospital where he was born, that memory's triggered and there's this emotion that starts. So when you have a trigger in your daily life, that just could be one small thing. It could be the smell of a lemon. And for you, that smell of that lemon triggers off a whole experience that you had with a lemon in an interaction, and it's somewhere in that neurological connection with that lemon, right? The little person who's just decided to enter the room as well. Sorry, guys. This is so for me here. It's 9:30 p.m. and this one would normally be asleep. We didn't manage to get her to sleep before bed. She thinks she's really funny.
It's okay. This group is full of moms. Every mom, all our moms and everyone have kids. Yeah,
Yeah.
everyone can understand. And even my kids are here like this. Hey,
Can you
hi.
hello really
For the
quickly?
first for the first time in the life, we have a baby as a guest.
You have a baby guest. Say hello really quickly, and then you can go back to your brothers and go
Oh,
say
your
hello.
baby. So is he boy or girl? He's boy or
Girl.
huh?
Girl.
He's so cute.
She loves it. She's a camera hog. No, you need to go down and go put it in, give it to your brother to sort out. Oh, really? Is that what we think? Okay. Can you sit quietly then? You sit and listen, or go to
Yeah,
sleep.
it's
Can you go to
okay.
sleep? Okay, good girl. Well done. So I'm going to hold her whilst I talk to you. So we have these energies that stay in our body, and every time we have a trigger in our daily life, it reminds us of that, and it brings it back to us physically. Our physical presence, everything within us changes. So how is this linked to your mental well-being? Well, if you go through your days and you have all of these memories that have been held on to, and we've never discharged the emotion from them, then one little thing that can happen can trigger you into an explosion of emotion, and you don't know where that emotion's come from. And this compounds, right? So everything, I mean, however old you are, every single memory you have compounds over time. And one seemingly small event, which under usual circumstances, it would just float over you. When you think about it as a singular event, like, why would I react like that? Why would I feel so sad about that, so upset about that, so triggered by this? But the reason for it isn't because of what happened in this present moment.
Oh, something trigger is there in the past.
From the past.
Yeah.
And when we're able to release the emotions that we've been holding on to from past events, when we're able to discharge them, to let them go energetically from our body, because it's stored in our neurological pathways and the proteins within our body. So we need to break down those neurological connections, those energetic connections. We still have the memory. We're not taking that out of your. We're not trying to like remove memories. So you've got these blank parts in your life. We're taking the extreme emotion out of that. We're processing that, because there's so much.
You are stuck. You are freezed. Yeah, we have a sorry everyone. Can you hear me?
Frozen.
Yeah, you are frozen.
Okay. I'm frozen. Oh no. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, now I can see, but you were like few seconds.
Oh no. Oh no, I'm back. I'm back, everyone. So
yeah,
sorry.
I have a question. Like releasing limiting emotions, right? So yeah, we are, because of the triggers from the past, we are reacting like we are showing all the emotions. Then how to give up those triggers, like negative triggers?
Sorry, you just broke up a little bit there. So I understood sorry, what did you say? How do we what about the trigger? Undo the trigger? Did you say?
You know how to give up those emotions, like negative emotions, how to give up those triggers, and
how do you
actually,
release it?
yeah, those triggers are the root cause, right?
Sorry. So that's an awesome question, and that's what obviously we all want to know. How do we release that? How do we get rid of that? So first of all, I want you to recognize that we don't need to get rid of all triggers. It's not that we're trying to like never be triggered in our lives about anything. What we want to do is recognize which emotions are limiting us. So which emotions are holding us back from having the experience of life that we desire. So if you are,
suppose if I am having fear, right? Suppose if my emotion is one of the emotion is like fear. Many people have this. This is the most common fear, right?
Fear, absolutely. And we can have fear over all sorts of things in our lives. So fear is a really, really common emotion. And so, for example, you're experiencing fear around something and it's stopping you from doing that thing. Sometimes we can experience fear, but we still do it anyway, and we just go through it. But sometimes we have fears that completely stop us.
It's okay. This is the way.
Go down and see Nanny, please. I know, so go and talk to Nanny. Nanny's here to look after you to get you chocolate. You want hot chocolate? Go and have hot chocolate. I am so sorry, ladies.
It's okay, this is the way, right? This is the way.
And then we continue. And if not, we'll figure something out in a moment. Let me take her down. Yes, darling. But you need to listen.
Sorry, but this is the way we show up genuinely, authentically, and this is the way like every mom is struggles. Every mom is struggling, or every mom has pains, even if they are working, like they have their own responsibilities. Even if we are coaches, we have our own struggles and daily responsibilities.
So, here is the crux. Here is the crux. As parents, we have times when our children don't do the things we want them to do. and it causes yet another limiting emotion, stress. Right? And we get really stressed out, and that stress stops us approaching things patiently. So I just want to point out here that limiting emotions can be any emotion that you experience that stops you from acting in the way that you want to act, stops you from being calm, it stops you from taking action, it stops you from moving forward. Sometimes even as parents, it stops us from loving, and this is a really hard one to admit, but it stops us from loving our children, not that deeply, we always love them, but it stops us from loving them in that moment in the way that we want to love them, because we're overwhelmed by what's coming up for us. And that's okay, you're a human being, you're allowed to have emotions, and we can admit that sometimes we aren't behaving or feeling in the way that we want to feel. And so what EFT can do, and I think this is the question that you were asking me, is how do we release those emotions? How do we release this built up chemical from our bodies? And so we can do this with the practice of EFT, and I'm going to show you guys how to do that.
Yeah.
And I just want to explain
I want you to share one EFT technique for giving up fear. Like, fear is the most common emotion for every mom. For like, fear is of different types, right? Many varieties of fears are there.
Absolutely. And we'll do that together now. So before we begin actually tapping, I'm going to show you how to tap one technique you can use, and it's really easy, and it's a cycle. It's a tapping cycle. So once you got it down, you can use this for any limiting emotion, but specifically fear as well. So we will tap on fear together, and we will release some of your fear now in this call.
Yeah.
Before we do, I want you to understand how this works, and I'm going to give you a really quick rundown. When you experience fear, anxiety, stress, what happens in your body is your body produces a chemical called cortisol. And cortisol is our stress response chemical. It's a stress response, and it floods through your body, and it reaches each and every single cell. Now, this isn't a biology lesson, so I'll give you the quick breakdown. When your cell receives that cortisol, it sends a signal to other components within inside that cell. So imagine all of these billions of cells all receiving this cortisol signal that says to them, stop, store that energy, don't use anymore, don't use energy, we might need it to fight or run away, flight, right? So we enter fight or flight mode. Lots of other chemical exchanges happen in our body as a result of that, but we're talking specifically about this energy blockage, and this is what we want to remove. So when cortisol is running through your body, your cells stop releasing energy. They stop using it effectively. They store it so that they can use it if you need it. And you're in survival mode at that point. Guess what? Every time you bring up those memories, every time you're triggered, that cortisol flood happens exactly as it did in the event. Your brain doesn't know the difference between a memory and what's happening right now. Your body reacts in exactly the same way as it would as if that moment was here with you. So that cortisol response happens. Your cells start trapping the energy. We want to start releasing that. So when we tap on these points, as we're going to do now, what we do is we send a signal to your amygdala in your brain that slows down that cortisol production, reduces it. It tells your brain, we're safe, it's okay. Whatever we're experiencing, we're sending this through our nervous system to say we're okay. Once that alarm response stops, the cortisol reduces, your cells start releasing energy again. And that energy starts circulating around your body exactly as it should, and you start feeling good. The chest tightness goes, the nauseous feeling goes. We can use EFT for pain. We can use EFT for what we're going to use it for now, releasing limiting emotions. But know that what I'm about to teach you, you can use for a whole range of things. And maybe another time I'll come back and tell you about those. But for now, let's go ahead and release some fear. So the very first thing we need to do with EFT is tune in. So I want you to think about something that's happening that you're afraid of now, something that is stopping you from moving forward. Maybe you've got a goal that you want to work towards and you're feeling scared. Maybe there's children that have just coming up to school holidays. I know fear around school holidays is a big one for many parents. How am I going to cope? What am I going to do about childcare? There's all sorts of fears and worries and anxieties that come up around school holidays for people. So if that's you, have a think. But I want you to tune in now. And if you are not got anything that you can think of off the top of your head that you're afraid of or anxious about or worried about, because that all amounts to fear. Okay? If you can't think of anything that's doing that for you right now, I want you to go back to a past. We're going to release an emotion from a past event that caused you a level of fear or anxiety. So just take a moment. I want you to close your eyes, go back to that event, or think about the situation, and just remember it, recall it. What was that situation? What was happening? What could happen? If it's a future event that you're worried about, what could happen? Who's there? Who's involved? What's the implications of that? Again, if it's a past event, you're thinking about who was there, who was involved, what actually happened in the end as well. And when you go back to the moment where you were experiencing that fear, and what were you afraid of? Because a lot of the time what we were afraid of doesn't actually happen, but maybe there was a fear of something that did actually happen. And what was that? What was the worst case scenario? And if you're thinking to a future event that you're worried or afraid of or anxious about, what is the worst case scenario? And then once you've been tuned into that, I want you to rate your level of fear or worry on a scale from 0 to 10. So 0 being, I have no fear. I don't even know what you're talking about, Amber. Why are you talking to me about fear? 10 being that, 10 is, this is the most afraid I've ever been. And hopefully none of you are at that level. If you are, in fact, if you're watching, can you please pop your rating in the comment? I don't know if I can see the comments. I've got them up, but nothing's there at the moment, so I don't know if anyone has commented. Swapna, if you want to share your rating with us, I would love you to do that.
Yeah, I tried, but due to the I think in this situation, I'm not able to. Yeah, I tried, but
that's absolutely fine. So tune into that, whatever that is for you. When you're watching this on the replay, you can go back and watch this again. Once you know how to do this, you'll know.
I have one reminder. We have to end this live in another 5 minutes to 10 minutes. Yeah.
No problem. Which will be really quick.
Yeah.
You're fine. EFT is one of the quickest things that you can do once you know how. So rate it on a scale from 0 to 10. Check in with that. Note where you are. If you're at a 10, I want you to get up and walk around the room, because I don't want anyone sitting in a level 10 of fear. Get up, take a walk around, look around your environment, come and sit back down before you tap. Then I want you to start tapping on this side point on the side of your hand, and just repeat after me. So even though I have all this fear.
Even though I have all this?
Fear.
Okay, even though I have all this fear.
I deeply and completely love and accept myself. And you can repeat it in your head or out loud, it's up to you.
What is that second sentence?
I deeply.
I deeply.
And completely love and accept myself. Even though I feel afraid. Even though I'm worried and scared. I deeply and completely love and accept myself. And even though I feel this fear, and it's stopping me from moving forward, it's stopping me from taking action, it's limiting me and holding me back, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. So then you're tapping on the eyebrow.
Can you rate where you are tapping? Is it exactly here?
So what you want to do when you're feeling for any of these points, okay, is it will be about halfway down on the side of your hand. On either hand, it doesn't matter which side.
Okay.
But what you're feeling for is if you actually rub on the side of your hand, you'll find one point where it just feels a little bit more tender, like where it's almost like it feels
Oh,
bruised, sensitive
okay.
compared to the other parts.
Oh,
So you can play around with this. As you just gently rub, you'll find one place that just feels a little bit more sensitive because it's the end of a nerve. It's a nerve
okay.
ending.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
So when you find that point, you'll know exactly where it is. But even if you're tapping just one side, your nerves are all connected. You've got nerves all the way through your hands, right? So they're all connected. So as long as you're close to that, you will still be impacting that. But have a play around with all of the points that I'm going to show you. Again, this
Okay.
eyebrow point,
Okay.
you'll find it's just a little bit more sensitive. As you start pushing around, you'll find a point that just feels a little bit more sore. So you're gently but firm pressure so that you can feel it. So I'm going to continue to tap on this, but after this session, play around with the spots and go and try and find them for yourself as well. And I'll talk a little bit about that after we tap. So you tap on the karate chop point, as we call this. This is your setup point, just to begin. And then we're moving on to the eyebrow point. So on the
Is
eyebrow
this how
point,
many times like this? How many times we have to tap?
we don't have to tap any amount of times. This is all about feeling. So when you do emotional freedom technique, this setup point, okay, is a PR reversal. And I don't have time to get into that and why that works and how that works. It's connected to a specific meridian. But
Okay.
what you need to know, all of EFT is about feeling and thought. Feeling and
Okay.
thought. So sometimes you might find yourself like, I'm really stressed. I want to tap really fast because I'm really angry. Okay. Other times it might be really slow and it might
Okay.
tap a lot, or you might just need a quick, like, I just need to feel a bit calmer. I'm just reducing that cortisol. There is no specific time. TFT, thought field therapy, which came before EFT, we have specific times and we have specific algorithms, as we call it.
Oh, okay.
EFT is all about feeling into it. What feels good, feels right for you is right. It's perfect.
Okay.
So we're tapping on the side of the eyebrow, on this eyebrow point. And we're just going to tap into that fear. So as you're tapping here, I want you to just think about the event, whatever it was, tuning into that. How did it make you feel? Where do you feel that fear in your body? You're tapping on the side of the eye. As you continue to think about where that fear is for you in your body, where do you experience it? Is it in your chest? Is it in your stomach? Shoulders? Where do you feel that fear? Is it all over? What are you experiencing in that fear? Tapping under the eye now. And again, you can repeat after me in your head or out loud. All this fear. All this fear. It doesn't feel good inside my body. And holding on to it is making me tired. Tapping under the nose. All this fear is exhausting. Here under the lip and just above the chin. All this fear I'm experiencing around this event. I'm worried about how it's going to affect me. I'm worried about how does this affect my children. If I do this, the worst case scenario happens, what will I do? Tapping your collarbone now. You can see here that we've got two bony points here. We're just coming out about an inch from there. Again, you'll want to play around with this for yourself, find out, but it's on the bone, it's on the collarbone. All this fear. And as you tap here, I want you to just think about the worst case scenario. As you're doing this after this event, Anytime you do this for yourself, always tapping on what we feel first. What are we anticipating? What could happen? And then under the arm. And I'm going to try and show you this side. I'm going to stand up a bit. You can't see. It's right on where your bra strap would be. Just under there. I'm tapping here, repeating after me. This fear isn't serving me or my family. This fear is only holding us back. It's making me nervous. It's making me tired. I don't want to feel like this anymore. On top of the head. I'm choosing to let this go. Back to the eyebrow point. I want to feel peaceful. I want to feel calm. Side of the eye, I want to feel confident. I want to feel strong in my sense of knowing that I can come back from anything. Under the eye. And I know that I'm anticipating the unknown. I really don't know what's going to happen until I do it. All the things that I'm worried about happening may never occur. In fact, they probably won't. Under the nose. What's the best thing that could happen? The thing that you're afraid of. I want you to think about what you'd like instead. What would you want to happen instead? Whatever it is. Whatever is causing you fear, anxiety, or worry. How do you want the situation to play out? Just think about that for a moment. Tapping the chin point, continue just thinking about what do you want instead of fear? What do you want to feel? Everything goes how you want it to go, how you desire it to go. How would that feel? Collarbone. Beginning to feel calmer. I'm beginning to feel more confident. I'm beginning to know that everything always works out as it should. Under the arm. Knowing that I have all the resources that I need within me. Knowing that I am strong. And my family is strong and capable too. I can do this. Everything will be okay. Tapping the top of the head now. Feeling calm. Relaxed. Feeling confident. And I'm going to stop there just for time-wise. And just shake it out. And for those of you who've been following along with a specific fear in mind, I just want you to take a nice deep breath in through your nose. Out through your mouth. And just check in. Go back to that memory or the event. Or check in with what you're anticipating happening in the future. Wherever that fear is for you, whatever that is. And re-rate that on a scale of 0 to 10. And I just want you to notice any change. And here's the thing with EFT that I want to tell you before I leave and we wrap up. What I've done with you today is using my words, my experience, and an overall blanket of fear itself. and what that could possibly be and look like for you. When you tap, the most powerful thing you can do is use your own words. So, this whole process I took you through, acknowledging that you are feeling fear, recognizing that even though you feel fear, I'm still loved, I'm still okay, I still appreciate me, I'm still whole, I'm still complete. Even that in itself raises your emotional wellness. Feeling loved is what we all want. We have an
Yes.
inner child that needs nurturing. The second stage, taking you through this initial sequence, just talking about how you feel, acknowledging it, and calming the amygdala as you recognize what's going on. What is the situation? How do you feel? Where do you feel that in your body? And as you're doing that, you're creating that neurological connection because you're physically calming yourself, stopping the cortisol response. So we're saying, here's the situation, no cortisol needed, thank you. And so automatically your body starts to feel calmer. And then we're shifting into what do we want instead? So we're going to actually go ahead and create that emotional well-being for ourselves. We're going to decide, and this is the powerful thing, you get to choose. What do I want to happen? What do I want to feel? This is all about your feeling. What do I want to feel instead? And then you're going to tap into that and really connect with that. So when you're talking about calmness, what does that situation look like as if it was calm? What would the best version of that be? So you're then creating a new neurological connection of calmness in relation to this event that you had fear around. So that each time we continue to do this, we're continuing to condition our body response. We're conditioning our body to say, this situation does not equal fear for us. It's okay. I want to feel like this instead. And so we're conditioning over time. So if your reduction was small in this round, take a break, drink some water because we're changing on a cellular level, and then tap again. Ideally, you want to start seeing yourself decreasing in that fear each time you recall that memory or you look forward to that future fearful event, whichever way it is for you. Ideally, you want to get to a place where you're at zero. That would be the most ideal. But any reduction in your emotional intensity is putting you in a better place so that you can act in the way that you want to act instead of the way that you've been instinctually reacting. And you get this choice to respond instead of reacting as well. So I hope that's helped. I hope that helps you to understand as well how you actually get to choose your emotional response. And when you do this good, I can now get to the point where I'm like, I can just tap the side of my hand and automatically my body's like, oh, okay. It's all right. So practicing this daily. Now, there's two things I want to share with you. One is a tapping app by the wonderful Nick Ortner. He is amazing. And it's called the Tapping Solution. So it's on Google, iPhone, Android, whatever you call it, Play Store. Just type in Tapping Solution. You'll find this app. It's full of tapping meditations for everything you can think of. And it will get you into the ability to use it as a daily practice before you really know what you're doing by yourself. I still think creating your own script or working with somebody who can help pull out what the underlying cause, what the underlying issues is, so we can get to the root and deal with that root cause. Like I said about those generational trends, we can go back to those events that underpin all of the stuff that's happening for you now, is a better idea, and to use your own phrasing. But to begin with, the Tapping Solution app just gets you to build into that habit. That's where I started, with building this habit of daily use of EFT in any way, shape, or form is better than nothing at all. Do you have any questions, Swapna?
Yeah. No, I don't have any questions. So that tapping solutions is the app you are suggesting to use. Tapping
Yes,
solution. Okay.
yeah,
So everyone install that app to get started with EFT to understand more. And if you have any questions, you can post in the comments after watching this live. So now it's time to conclude this live. Thank you, Amber, for joining and sharing so much valuable information. And I hope to see you soon in another live because today it was like, yeah, at least in the next live 15 minutes, just for 15 minutes, but on some EFT tap.
yeah, yeah. Definitely. Thank you very much for having me. I know it's been a really long live, so thank you for giving me your time as well, Swapna, because I know that you've got busy family things to do as well. But I think this is a really good basis for any of you watching. I'm not going to talk anymore, but just a really good, deep understanding of why it's important for you to release those emotions for your well-being and how EFT works, why it works. Because once you have that knowledge, you can go away and you can start looking into it and understanding it and using it on a daily basis, which is my aim for you. So, my final words for everyone is if you have any questions, please reach out to me. Like Swapna says, put them in the comments. I will read those. If you want to experience more EFT or to learn more about mindset in general, about shifting your emotional being and your mindset in general, then I invite you, if it's okay for Swapna, just say that I'm hosting a masterclass on the 20th of July. So that's next Wednesday, I think now. Gosh, time goes so fast. So on the 20th of July,
You can the group. You can share
I
this.
will put it in the group and you're welcome to come and join me for that. I'd love to see some of you over there. That'd be wonderful.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
Swapna, thank you so much again.
Yeah. Thank you. You too.